3. Veblen and his technocratic utopia. Contradictions of capitalism. Veblen emerged as a theorist reflecting the contradictions of capitalism during the era of imperialism and the early general crisis of capitalism. He is considered an American forerunner of Keynes' critique of capitalism. Veblen recognized the acute contradictions within the capitalist system and the dangers it faced. He sought new ways to justify and reform it in the eyes of the masses. Discussed with optimism. He was critical of the optimistic defenders of capitalism and the belief that free competition automatically ensures the best outcomes for society. He criticized the economic optimism of bourgeois political economy. Not an opponent of capitalism. Veblen is not an opponent of capitalism but criticizes its outdated justifications. He seeks new methods to defend capitalism under changing conditions. Influence of historical events. His concepts were influenced by the economic and political contradictions of imperialism, monopolistic practices, economic crises, and class struggle. He observed the First World War, the October Revolution, and the economic crisis of 1920 to 1921. Industry versus business. Veblen distinguished between industry, socially useful labor and production, and business, market-driven, profit-oriented activities. He saw capitalist monopolies as embodiments of business. Capitalist sabotage. He criticized the practice of limiting production and slowing technical progress to maintain prices and profits, which he called capitalist sabotage. Chronic unemployment. Veblen noted the chronic mass unemployment and underutilization of production capacities in the post-war period. However, he argued that the difference between pre-war and post-war unemployment was quantitative, not qualitative. Criticism of post-war conditions. He observed increased poverty and deprivation, alongside the underutilization of industrial capacities and labor, highlighting the contradictions of capitalism in the post-war period. Profit over production. Veblen criticized the focus on profitability over productive capacity, stating that capitalism requires production to adapt to market demands rather than societal needs. Early recognition of economic issues. Veblen was one of the first economists to highlight chronic unemployment and underutilization, but did not fully understand its significance, attempting to downplay its qualitative impact post-war. Veblen's distinction. Veblen distinguishes between industry, capable of unlimited production, and business, which limits production for profitability. He argues that the capitalist system, based on business, prevents full utilization of production capacity, leading to economic crises. Roles in production, industrial experts, engineers, technologists, etc., are crucial for production but are subordinate to financiers, who focus on profits rather than technical progress. This creates a conflict between production for use and production for profit. Economic crises. Veblen attributes economic crises to the contradiction between the potential of industrial production and the limitations imposed by business practices. He downplays class struggle and capitalist exploitation, suggesting instead a conflict between industrial experts and financiers. Veblen's technocratic reform. Veblen envisions a peaceful technocratic reform, where power shifts from financiers to industrial experts, eliminating economic crises. He sees this as a gradual process that does not pose an immediate threat to the capitalist system. Criticism of Veblen. Critics argue that Veblen ignores class struggle and the role of the working class in revolutionary change. He is seen as a defender of capitalism, reassuring the American bourgeoisie that revolution is unlikely in the U.S. technocracy movement. Inspired by Veblen, the technocracy movement of the 1920s and 1930s advocated for a peaceful transfer of production control to technicians and the use of labor money ergs, denying the need for class struggle or revolution. Stalin's critique. Stalin criticized technocratic theories, arguing that the technical intelligentsia cannot independently lead societal change. He emphasized the working class's role and the need for the technical intelligentsia to unite with the working class for revolutionary transformation. Impact of technocracy. The technocracy movement diverted the technical intelligentsia from class struggle, promoting the idea that capitalism could transform without revolution and denying the working class's historical role.